Next up, with Jayden Daniels, quarterback at LSU. I mean, again, won the Heisman Trophy and kind of wasn't weirdly kind of Joe Burrow-ish, and that wasn't super on the radar necessarily as a top draft pick, and then has one insane offensive record-breaking season at LSU, and then now is like in this conversation. So look, you wrote, in all my time charting, I don't think I've seen anything quite like Daniels' pressure response numbers. He stood in the face, Jayden Daniels, stood in the face of pressure and delivered a pass in just over 1 out of every 3 dropbacks. That's an absurd number. He took a sack on almost a quarter of the dropbacks.
Right.
Yeah. So if Jayden Daniels was pressured, right, and this is in the pocket, his guard lost, or he was in the pocket for too long and a guy inevitably won, or there was a blitz and there was a free rusher, he was out of the pocket by design and a guy came and rushed him. If he got any sort of pressure in his vicinity, he was remarkably more likely to either scramble or take a sack than he was to just stand and deliver the ball, which is just not acceptable. It's not tenable. It denies the structure of the offense. It denies opportunities for the receivers to make plays, for the tight ends to make plays, for the offensive line to make plays. Like, Jayden Daniels so quickly and concerningly runs towards backyard football, pursues backyard football, it will make decisions to get away from college football and NFL football and real football and design football in the playbook to just return to the safety of backyard football. It's terrifying. It's so concerning. If it works, he's going to be the biggest headache to defend in the league. Like, it's going to be such a challenge to defend because every time he gets outside of the pocket, it's just sirens going off. He's breaking tackles. He's drop kicking safeties. He's running circles around linebackers. Like, he's such a good athlete. But it's just we have seen so many quarterbacks in the league fail because their response to pressure breaks the offense, right? It's just like, all right, like if you can keep them clean, keep them on schedule, it's great. But the second they start to get a grain of sands in the cogs of their system, they short circuit, and that's absolutely the case right now with Jayden. It's I've never charted a quarterback who stands and delivers the ball less in the face of pressure than I have with Jayden Daniels.
Is there a worry that this is just another version of Justin Fields?
He sounds like skinny Justin Fields, to be honest.
My comp for Justin Fields, like I don't release my rankings or my comps like DK does on the board, but like I'll tweet them out. My comp is stick figure Justin Fields.
So for Jayden Daniels, yeah.
He doesn't throw over the middle of the field. He goes deep. He scrambles too quickly, and he has
multiple first round receivers.
But he's probably not as slow of a processor. I think is like maybe the hope that gives you hope about Jayden Daniels.
Probably, but also Justin Fields didn't look like a slow processor at Ohio State, but he had 2 top 20 picks at wide receiver, and that's what I've got with Jayden Daniels, right?
But he has, I think the difference though is that Jayden Daniels like improved each year of college, and I like, it's weird because he's old, and on one hand it's like, okay, it's bad that he took that long to dominate college, but at the same time there is I'm not convinced he
improved each year of college. I think he got good in his final season when he had 2 top 15 20 picks of receivers and a great offensive line. Like, that's the thing is you say improved every year, I say late breakout. Justin Fields at least was doing it when he was 20, right? Like, that to me was more interesting.
So DK, what is you said he had Jayden Daniels has shades of Robert Griffin III. What did Arch? Because no one had issues with Robert Griffin III being the second pick in the draft. What?
Yeah, but I bet wasn't that because he was the first of his kind and people were enamored by such a skill set, and we hadn't seen much of it. Now we have a track record of all these guys.
Yeah, but also I would say it's more normalized now to have a quarterback who can run more to be like, yeah, that'll work. I would say, like, but what did RG3 have that Jayden Daniels doesn't have that prevents you from wanting to pull trigger on Jayden Daniels?
I mean, I don't know if I really look that deeply into this. Like, I don't think he's exactly RG3. I just think stylistically, this is a dual threat guy who's skinny. My comp was like essentially like, this is a highly athletic guy that loves to attack down the field and can do a ton of things with his legs, but is skinny and there's worries about injury. So, like, that was my comp. I don't think they're necessarily the same player.
Let's say it's the only way that matters then. Let's say the draft goes Caleb Williams to the Bears, and let's say Washington takes Drake May with the second pick. New England is on the horn with the third pick. Mm-hmm. You could take Jayden Daniels at LSU or JJ McCarthy. The Raiders are on the phone and they're offering you, like, you know, because Antonio Pierce was Jayden Daniels, like, he coached at Arizona State, he recruited him. The Raiders are on the phone, they want Jayden Daniels. You know, let's say the package is fair. It's not like it's like your first, the next year first. It's like a normal. Are you like, yes, let's do it, because I don't believe that Jayden Daniels is like the quarterback for this team. Like it's not like just this chicken and the egg. Like, is it better? Like, is he good enough to build your team around? Yes or no?
I think I lean towards trade back because I don't have enough conviction that he is the guy. I would say, I put it this way. I'm worried enough about all the things that we've talked about with him all along that I probably would just be like, let someone else take him. That being said, I think there is a realistic version of Jayden Daniels where he comes in and just lights the NFL on fire. But I have enough legitimate concerns about some of the pressure to sack numbers, some of the scramble rate numbers, all the things that we've been talking about all this whole process, that it's just like in the back of my mind and it worries me. And I probably would be like, I'm going to take the huge package that we're getting to trade back and just figure it out later.
I don't really get what's going on with Jayden Daniels. I really don't. It feels like almost everybody in the media agrees that he should not be the second pick and that Drake May is better. I would say there's the overwhelming majority.
So that's not yes, I will say that like there's a couple like big media guys who have him super high, right? Like I know like Orlovsky's got Jayden Daniels ranked super high, and so like there are some dudes who are like really big on him that I think has created a public perception that like like Jayden should be up there, which is not to levy a criticism of Orlovsky. It's just I think probably more people listen to Orlovsky than listen to us, if I'm being honest. So that's why you get that sort of influence.
I just feel like all the people I'm reading online are like Drake May's a better quarterback. Jayden Daniels is way too big of a risk, all this stuff. And I don't understand why he is such a lock for Washington to take him at number 2. I don't understand why the Washington front office is so convinced of this player when it seems like nobody else is. Why is it just them?
I don't think he's a lock, but I think that Jayden Daniels fits a lot better with what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do with the offense. And I just think he fits that better. He might not be the pick for Washington, though.
Which I do hear. Like, I do think Jayden fits well for Washington. I also like Drake May played in the air raid. Drake May 2022 was Phil Longo. His OC was Phil Longo. It is as air raid as you can get. Like, I agree that Jayden fits. Whenever people are like, "Oh, Drake May is not what Washington's looking for," I'm like, "What are they looking for? This guy ran the system."
I'm not saying about the system. I'm saying like I think Cliff Kingsbury has the Lincoln Riley in him, where they're what's the word? Hot. They're hot men who seem to be able to like probably recruit and identify talent more than necessarily like a stickler for details. And I think Kyle Shanahan wants a quarterback to be his like controller, and he's just playing Madden through him. I think Cliff Kingsbury is like Lincoln Riley at USC. He's coaching Caleb Williams, who's like, yeah, Caleb, this is the play, but just go make something happen, man. Like there's kind of like an L-I-V-I-N, like, and I think that the idea that Jayden Daniels can come in and just like, play didn't work, but Jayden just made it happen. Good job, teamwork, right there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's an element of bailing your ass out that Jayden Daniels kind of brings. But
I will say that like on the Jayden Daniels lock for 2 thing. So much of it right now, everybody who's reporting Jayden Daniels at 2 makes it very clear that they are reporting that because the rest of the league thinks that Jayden Daniels is going
and that's what Zach Wilson was to the Jets, where we just were like, oh, this is going to happen. So then we kind of move on. And so whether it's a good idea or not.
Right now on FanDuel, Jayden Daniels minus 300 to go 2 overall. That is the biggest favorite he has been. It's the biggest favorite we've had for that pick in months. And so like that's the expectation. We are going to be all together in Detroit literally like a week from right now, talking about all the the top 5 picks, top 10 picks, what to expect. First day is tomorrow. I would not be surprised if our opening thing on the show is about how the Jayden Daniels thing was not true, and it's JJ McCarthy or it's Drake May. Just because the way this is being reported and intimated is like putting the tea leaves together, we think it's going to be Jayden Daniels. But if somebody gets good sourcing on the Commanders and says, hey, like it's JJ, I am ready to change my perspective on 2 overall pretty quick.
It's interesting too, because I think, Craig, for most of the college season, at least from my perspective, maybe I just didn't see this, but it was Caleb Williams and Drake May, clear cut number 1 and number 2.
Yes.
And then Jayden Daniels kind of swooped in as he didn't even swoop in initially as like the number 2 pick. All of a sudden people were talking about Jayden Daniels as a first round pick. Like, oh, maybe he's going to sneak into the first round. And then gradually, as this process has gone along, we're talking about him as the like probable number 2 pick. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, oh, this guy has the talent to be in the first round. This guy, everything he's done this year has been so amazing. He could be a first round pick. Now it's like, oh, he's better than Drake May. Drake May is the QB 5 or 6 or whatever on some people's boards. And so it's just this is the perfect example of just the draft industrial complex that we just talk ourselves in circles for months and decide things, even though these guys haven't played or done anything. This is like my rant against the pro days. Like, they're not playing football. Nothing
They're
is
playing
happening.
catch. They're playing catch.
No one has played football since freaking January or whatever. So it's like, it's just kind of ludicrous. I don't know.
I love that breakout.
That's the process. That's how it goes.
That DK breakout's my favorite. They're going out there and they're playing catch.
Did you hear Dan Quinn? By the way, someone was interviewing Dan Quinn the other day, and he was like, let's be honest. I mean, at these pro days, they're just going out there and playing against air. Like, why are we talking about it so much?
We got to get Dan Quinn and
Dan
DK
Quinn knows ball.
Dan Quinn, come on the take purge.
Just DK and Dan Quinn hanging out in the backyard, grilling up some burgers, complaining about the HOA and the fact that they're not even doing anything at pro days.
They're playing catch, complaining about how pro days are just playing catch.
This is our pro day.
We're doing the same thing.
This is our pro day.
Dan Quinn comes on the take purge. He's like, I didn't even want this job.
Dude, if I go out there and play catch, I could be accurate on a couple throws. Get me at a pro day,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so excited for the take purge.